Hello again, traveler. It is good to see you well. The roads can be dangerous. In today's story, our heroes visit a dark temple and sacrifice something precious to obtain new information. The Grey Tower, Episode 10, Temple of the Three Hungers. Despite the lack of sunlight to measure the dawn, the city of Dhul Kanor seems to be on some kind of schedule, for the party notices the streets have begun to fill once more. Having no final destination, they check their packs and depart the public house. Our heroic vagabonds travel upward through the rising and winding streets. They notice the number of walls and guards increasing as they ascend, and eventually begin to find doors closed to them. On a public street corner, a bellowing dwarf in flowing garb catches the attention of the group.
You feed your bellies, and so too the gods are hungry. They are starving, famished. Do they ask too much for their gifts? I think not. Feed the gods. The temple of the three hungers accepts your offerings.
Intrigued, the group travels to the doors of the Temple of the Three Hungers to inquire further. Maudril seems hopeful to ask about her grandfather, whose name is recognized by some of the dwarves here.
His name sparks a glimmer of recognition in some of these folk, but no one will talk of him to me directly. There is a sense of awe to this, perhaps fear.
The temple's architecture is sharp and brutal, empty inside, aside from the marked circle at the center and three tall dark statues depicting humanoids with animal parts. The priest and attendants are instructing parishioners to deposit their offerings as the statues look down upon the ritual. Yazba recognizes these immediately as the dark gods worshipped by his tribe, the same that they found in the hidden room within the kobold den. As they are asked for their contribution, our heroic vagabonds begin to inventory trinkets they are willing to part with. Yazba's eyes light up as he turns and asks an attendant,
Yazba, gift creature? You want dead or alive?
The attendant raises an eyebrow and confirms the god would prefer a living creature as sacrifice. Yazba excitedly reaches into his bag and draws out a familiar-looking horn and blows it.
Yazba! You're supposed to ask us before using that horn.
The blast echoes through the cavernous room, raising goosebumps on all nearby. As the sound fades, a deep chittering is heard as a giant scorpion appears from behind a nearby pillar. The other worshippers scatter as the group fights the beast, managing to knock it unconscious and subdue it. The priest quickly finishes the ritual, and the scorpion, along with all the other offerings, is thrown into another realm. Exactly where is not known by our assembled heroes, but the air left behind in the wake of the transportation stinks of sulfur. Inquiring amongst the returning attendees, the party learns of an ancient dwarf who resides here. He is said to have access to infinite knowledge and wisdom. His door is open to all, but the price for even a single question is said to be quite steep. Undeterred, both Yazba and Maudril request an audience with this person. The priest looks them over and agrees, but they have to go one at a time. Pumpkin, scared for her friends, asks them to reconsider.
I don't trust this. There are other ways. Let us find another way.
Yazba is brought to a smaller room. The ancient dwarf sits across an ember pit, his long beard intricately braided, unnaturally slender, and clothed only in burlap pants, his eyes locked straight ahead. He does not seem to be seeing what is in front of him. Yazba sits across from this elder dwarf and asks for a way through to the place where the unicorn was sent to undo the act that damned him. Suddenly, the dwarf looks directly at Yazba, through him, and asks in a whisper that echoes through the shadows of the room if he is willing to pay the price for this knowledge. Yazba agrees, and when he next looks into the eyes of the ancient, his mind is suddenly and painfully filled with magical knowledge. A single spell, expensive and dangerous, and only going in a single direction. Yazba scrambles to his feet, clutching his noggin. The dwarf has already returned to a fugue state, but seems to sit slightly taller on his stone seat. Yazba weakly exits the room and returns to the group. Unfazed by the state of the returning goblin, Maudril enters the room with the ancient. Sitting in front of the withered form, Maudril says she wants to know everything these dwarves know about her grandfather. The ancient locks eyes with the dark young woman and asks if she is willing to pay for this knowledge. Maudril nods in agreement, and the embers flare once more as Maudril's mind is filled with visions, memories that are not her own. The lord of a dwarven city, an exodus of those who refused to give up their mining claim when dark magic was unearthed. The lord's daughter, sick from the fumes. A mysterious orc with promises made to a council of dwarves in gas masks. The dwarves, changed, mining in darkness. Their unearthed treasures witnessed by no one. The council assembled once more as the orc points to the lord's daughter and leads her away. Maudril returns from the memories into the chamber, but the sense of sadness and loss follows her. She finds tears upon her cheeks she does not remember crying, and the ancient sits, his chest emitting a strange sound, as if he is trying to laugh, but forgot how. She stumbles from the chamber and back to the group, and they leave this temple with half their number leaning for support on the others, so drained from their encounter and the weight of the answers they so desperately wanted. Neither speaks about what they learned with the others. Perhaps after paying so high a price, they are wary of sharing it. At least not yet. Well, traveler, the fire burns low, and we are out of wine. We will continue the story when next we meet. Much was sacrificed at the temple. One has to wonder if what was gained was worth it. Would you enter a pact with the ancient dwarf? And what would you ask? Leave your answers in the comments below. And next time our heroes will realize that they are out of filters for their gas masks.